6002, parents and other members of the community are involved. Ed Code 51100 emphasizes parental rights. Moreover, Ed Code 35160.1 affords us additional flexibility to create our own unique solutions here locally, even if the instructional material hasn't been adopted by the state. And that's referencing Ed Code 60210. Regarding Mr. Thurman's recent visit to our school district, Mr. Thurman, Robert, I don't think I got your last name, and Dr. Torres were considerate, patient, graceful in their communication with us, and I was honored that they took the time to visit our wonderful school district. Their visit was well appreciated. Even more, we worked together in a positive manner, discussing viable solutions to our current situation. Regarding Governor Newsom's Twitter statement to me, it was never my intention to insult anyone, as it's always my intention to lead with civility. My word choice is based upon facts that represent Mr. Milk, and I don't believe those facts are a good example for our children to learn about in elementary school. Governor Newsom, I'm glad that I have your attention. Now you have mine. As I've received my first death threat after your tweet and relentless attacks on my job as a well-standing tenured professor, quite frankly, these attacks are ridiculous and unwarranted. My students will tell you that they're from all walks of life with many different gender identities, sexual preferences, and I treat them all with love and respect in my classrooms. You know why? We don't talk about their gender identity and sexual preference. We talk about the curriculum on teaching, which is logic.
Yes.
So, moreover, rather than resorting to a cancel culture tactic of ad hominem attacks against my character, whether it's you or any other public figure, let's instead focus on the substance of my arguments, like being respectful adults. Amen. Additionally, I assure you that I am anything but ignorant regarding what you've said. If you're offended at my assertion regarding Harvey Milk, I'll ask you one simple question, Governor. Do you approve of any 33-year-old person, regardless of their gender identity or sexual preference, having a sexual relationship with any 16-year-old, regardless of their gender identity or sexual preference? My remarks about Mr. Milk were not based upon him being a homosexual, but rather based upon him being an adult having a sexual relationship with a minor. I would express the same sentiments of any adult being offered as an example in K-5 textbooks had admitted to a sexual relationship with a minor. That is the source of my objection to his example to TVUSD K-5 children, not his sexual orientation. The world is waiting to hear your answer, Mr. Newsom. While we wait to hear your answer, I'll let you know that in this district, God willing, as long as I'm a school board trustee, I will resist any attempts from any and all sexual predators from any kind to harm our innocent children. You should have learned more about the exploitation of young children during the Me Too movement to help you avoid celebrating pederasts and those who would steal our children's virtue. Or maybe your actions speak for themselves when your signature on a bill that reduces penalties for a 20-year-old men to have non-consensual sex with 14-year-old boys. SB 145, Wiener 2020. Even more, I will reject any vulgar, obscene, and pornographic material which offers zero academic merit from our students' textbooks in K-12. They do not need to be exposed to salacious material that can't meet long-standing decency laws to be shared on public television or radio. Conversely, we need to stick to the basics of education by focusing on reading, writing, math, science, and history, rather than confusing our children with hyper-politicized fads or forcing them to endure a radical culture of war experiment. This trajectory is my right as a governing board member, and that is what my constituents voted me in to do to protect all students in this district, Governor.
That's right.
Governor. Governor, you said it right when you said this isn't Texas or Florida, as we can be so much better than these states if we had better leadership from the top levels of government who actually believe in the vital significance of public schools to send their own children to those schools. And imagine a world in which millions of families weren't fleeing this state to find better educational prosperity in other states, but where millions of families were coming to this state because we had the best educational standards. You, Governor, can use your power and influence to help us achieve that end. And I'm in prayer that you would do the right thing and join in our efforts to give our students at TVUSD and all of our other school districts a safe and excellent education so that they would flourish and be productive and engaged citizens in the great state of California and in the United States overall. And to all of you parents across this country, stand up and protect your kids. They need you to be brave for them, as you are the last line of their defense. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'd like to start out and echo the same sentiment. I am here as an individual. I am not representing the Temecula Valley Unified School District or the governing board as a whole. My statements are my own personal statements in response to some of the inflammatory and derogatory things that are going on social media and around our city and the state locally. I would like to first start by addressing the letter from Gavin Newsom, Attorney General Rob Banta, and State Superintendent Tony Thurman. The letter, dated June 1st, 2023, entitled Education Rights and Requests to Remove Instructional Material. In this letter, it points out that 1,477 books have been banned nationally, with absolutely no description of the content in those books or why they were banned in the first place. The letter clearly states that expression that is obscene may be prohibited. Obscene is defined of the portrayal or description of sexual matters, offensive or disgusting by accepted standards of morality and decency. During public comments at the May 16th, 2023 meeting, a parent brought before the school board her uncomfortable but strong concern about her child being given a reading assignment for a play offered by her teacher from a high school library entitled Angels in America. This play uses the F word over 160 times and graphically portrays violent acts of sexual sodomy and is irresponsible sexual behavior. This book has since been pulled from the library. And my question to you is, would you read this to your own 14 or 15-year-old that isn't even allowed to drive a car yet? Are you trying to suggest that this type of obscene, pornographic content is something we should apply First Amendment rights to? Don't we have obscenity laws against distributing pornographic material to children? It is my viewpoint that this shouldn't be allowed in any public school, even in California, due to its obscene content. Our district was also piloting a new history and social studies curriculum this past year. Widespread misinformation is being published and shared by news outlets and our own teachers union that I want to address directly. To start with, though our board president has been attacked by name, I want to make it clear. It was me who stated that as a father, I find it morally reprehensible to include someone in the content of K-5 curriculum that was a known pedophile. Language has been manipulated. Language has been manipulated here, arguing that this man did not actually qualify as a pedophile because the technical definition is someone who has an attraction to prepubescent children. Pederast, I believe, is the correct term for what he is. But the FBI uses pedophilia as a wide term to describe a variety of child predators. It is well documented that Milk had sexual relationships with multiple adolescent boys when he was well into his 30s. Whether or not he was guilty of a crime at the time is besides the point. In California at the time, the legal age of consent was 18, where this man has been exalted to martyrdom. I don't care about his sexuality. However, it is inappropriate to laud and normalize this type of predatory behavior exhibited by this man to an innocent 10-year-old.
That's right.
There are plenty of historical figures who made great strides for that community that are not associated with inappropriate sexual relationships with children. Discussing matters of sexuality with children 10 and under in a public school setting is inappropriate. As a parent, this is not a conversation I want started with my children by anyone else but me, and especially not before they even learn about the birds and the bees. Despite holding that belief as a father, this was not the reason that I ultimately decided not to adopt this curriculum. As an advocate for parental rights, I noticed several fatal flaws in the adoption process, and because of community concerns that were shared with me, I demanded a process that gave more opportunity for parents and the community to be involved in the selection of instructional materials. As provided by California Education Code 60002, each district board shall provide substantial teacher involvement in the selection of instructional materials and shall promote the involvement of parents and other members of the community in the selection of instructional materials, not after it's been selected. The board believes that this process of getting parent, teacher, and community involvement was not as robust from the beginning as it should have been. We will collaborate on multiple fronts to augment such input and find material rich in primary source documents and diverse historical content, providing equal educational opportunity for all, including our English language and special education students. Acknowledging that our families deserve educational excellence built on strong foundations of knowledge, we are committed to thinking outside the box while meeting all mandatory California framework and standards for the 23-24 academic year. I brought these concerns to the district administrative staff back in late February and made it clear that we may need to delay the approval until such time as we could correct the outreach problem. I suggested that we get permission to print the necessary materials as the books currently used are out of print. It is my understanding, and this was confirmed in the meeting we had with Mr. Thurman yesterday, that we absolutely can do that. The factually inaccurate charges that if we don't approve this specific curriculum right now, we will be in violation of the Williams Act, or that we will have no social studies curriculum to teach in the fall is patently false.
That's right.
Our students and teachers will have what they need for the start of the year, and I continue to work through this daily. I want to end on a note regarding the inflammatory and divisive rhetoric being displayed from our own government, news media, and locally here on social media. The accusations that my actions are in any way bigoted, homophobic, or any other nasty accusations against me are ridiculous. I am governing using my experience as a father and the input from the community to advocate for the rights of parents to make decisions in their kids' education. This is a paradigm shift from the path public education has been on for several years, and there will be growing pains. Coming out of a pandemic era, striving for academic excellence is my main goal. We need to be more thoughtful about when and how we introduce certain topics. Many families are being discriminated against and ignored when they're unable to opt out of content that goes against their family and cultural values, as well as religious beliefs. These are not just Christians that I have heard from. We can be inclusive and have a welcoming environment for all students without alienating large subsets of our town. That is why I am here. That is the work that we will continue to do, and defaming our community with slanderous accusations is only hurting us as a city and further emphasizing the need for structural change in California. I encourage all of you to do better and to work collaboratively with us moving forward. Thank you all.